Welcome everybody to the first round of student presentations. I am joined now by Emmanuel Pinto and Felix. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to them to present on the effect of bank closures on rural communities. So over to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning to everyone from the Trent community, the Peterborough community, and beyond. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Felix Tran, and with me today is my research partner, Emmanuel Pinto. Today, we are excited to be presenting our research project, the economic impact of financial institution closures to rural communities. The project is being presented to you today in collaboration with Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development, Trent University's Department of International Development Studies, and the Trent Community Research Center. So some background information. I'd like you to think about your own personal finances for a bit here. Do you have a bank account? Maybe you have been using online banking a lot more this year. Have you ever thought about how far your nearest bank branch is? In the past 3 years, 2 communities within the Peterborough County have lost their only banking institution. The TD branch in Millbrook closed in August 2017, and the RBC branch in Astley closed in April 2018. These closures have had far-reaching consequences throughout these communities. It's also important to note that this is a growing trend that can be seen across Canada. So our main research questions are as follows. What are the social and economic impacts of rural financial institution closures on businesses and residents in rural communities? And what can be done in Peterborough County to mitigate the negative impact?
I'm going to start talking about the purpose of our work. So there are 3 main components to our research. Firstly, we are studying how other rural communities around Canada have been affected by rural bank closures and how they have responded to these challenges. Secondly, we are looking at the unique social, business, and economic challenges that Millbrook and Astley specifically face as a result of these rural bank closures. Thirdly, we seek to provide solutions in the form of policies and actions that local governments and organizations can implement to overcome some of their specific challenges.
Our methodology consisted of an extended literature review and semi-structured interviews with community members, municipal leaders, and local business owners. Our literature review process aims to cover the social and economic impact of bank branch closures on business and residents in rural communities in Canada as a whole. Additionally, we also aim to identify possible options and strategies for reducing the impact of these closures and expanding access to financial services in rural areas. Our semi-structured interviews enabled us to hear the first-hand experiences of the community members themselves and will support our findings in the literature review process. We ask questions that will better our understanding of the experience of losing a bank in rural areas and to gain input from the local perspectives on the economic prospects of their communities. So far in our preliminary findings, in our literature review, we found that for individuals, the impacts include reduced savings, larger cash withdrawals, lower investment revenue, and less access to and higher costs for financial planning advice. For businesses, the impacts can be felt in the form of check cashing, loss of cash sales, accumulation of excess cash, delay in depositing checks, and payment of debts.
From our interviews with community members, we found that there's a loss of social inclusion for certain members of the community, in particular seniors and people with physical challenges. There was also a loss of overall trust in financial institutions overall. On the brighter side, residents and businesses in Millbrook and Astley have largely adapted to the new reality by scheduling visits to other branches and using online banking wherever possible. However, having equal access to internet banking is still a major issue that needs to be addressed.
For our next steps, preliminary recommendations, our preliminary recommendations to local organizations and governments on how they can effectively help their communities include promoting and investing in internet infrastructure, reaching out to their senior citizens to determine their needs on this issue, and assisting businesses with accessing financial services that have left their communities.
So you might be asking yourself, why should I care about this topic? Why are small town banks so important? We have found, as we talked to community members over the past semester, that the bank was not only a place to access financial services, it was a gathering place. People scheduled their days around the bank schedule. Business owners could walk across the street to meet someone they knew and trusted for financial advice. Local charities would be sponsored and supported by their local branch. Not all is lost, however. Most respondents said that overall, while they still do have challenges, the community has adapted well to the change. Our job with this project was to help them find ways to overcome the specific challenges that they currently face.
The project is yet to be completed or meant to directly solve the issue. Rather, our research will help the people of Millbrook and Astley forge a new path forward and raise awareness of this issue. We are optimistic about the economic future of these communities and hope to spend some time visiting them once this pandemic passes. So thank you for listening, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. What an incredible presentation. And I think the real big takeaway for this is the loss of that community connection really is what you're talking about. It's sort of like a gathering space. So, I think that, one question that I have is, if you could go further sort of with this research, where do you think this could take you? How do you see this could grow, and perhaps sort of like, not only you talked about the impact locally, regionally, but, how would you share this information with other communities, and where could you take it from here?
Well, I think that we really could expand the scope of this research by, 100-fold, honestly. Right now, we're looking specifically at 2 communities in Peterborough County, and even some of our respondents from the interview said that we could expand to neighboring communities, such as Bethany in Kawartha Lakes recently lost their branch.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few others, I think. I can't think of them all off the top of my head. Coe Hill up in Haliburton County or Hastings County also lost their bank branch recently. So there are a number of this isn't unique to this area nor this province even. It's a national issue that's taking place, and we would love to expand the scope, talk to communities across the country even, and get their input, and then perhaps do something at the federal level to mitigate these challenges that communities face.
I think that is remarkable, and I really do agree with you. I think, and the whole point of this is really sort of getting into the grassroots of, the systematic issues that can arise. And then if you start to solve those problems down here, then absolutely, what you're talking about, Emmanuel, federally, how does that change, and how does that work its way up to making some real impact on policy change? So that's wonderful for you. Mindful of time, gentlemen, I think I'm going to end us now. However, I know that there's probably lots of questions from the attendees in the audience. So what we will do, attendees, if you do have questions, please do send them to TCRC at trentu.ca, and we will put you in touch with these wonderful students and get those questions answered for you.